it's not just a matter of willpower and a matter of being strong enough. It's a matter of understanding your brain and the brain chemistry and the body and brain chemistry that's going on in order to help with this metabolism thing. Because in thinking about it, it has brought it to the forefront of my brain since this all began. You started talking in December. And the other day I came home from work, and all my life I can remember from being a little kid on, after school, I'd be starving. So I would want to eat after school. And whether it was ice cream, cookies, of course, it was never carrots and broccoli. Ugh. But of course, that's the way our brain has been learning to live. So to the point now that I can actually start looking forward to having some broccoli or some cauliflower or carrots or what are different things, foods that are more appropriate. We don't have to get into all that right now. But where I'm actually about having healthy food, but I guarantee that automatic trigger for the banana bread or the ice cream will come in first, because that's the way our automatic thought processes go. So without talking too much more, I just want to help people realize it's not a matter of willpower, or that some people can do it and some people can't. Well, of course that happens, but it's a matter of managing our brain so that we are becoming the controller of our actions, not the reaction or the result of an impulse or the result of a craving. So this is hopefully what I present to you today, is something that's going to help you understand that we are dealing with something far more powerful than simply not choosing to have it. Because addiction is a disease, and I'm not, and food, there are people that addiction to food is a problem. And so it's a matter of understanding, because it's obviously we can't be abstinent from food. So it's a tough one to deal with. So there are many kinds of abstinences. No, I just lost, there it is. Whoopsie, I just lost you. Gotta find you. Here you are. Okay, I found you again. I was trying to push the share content. All right, so I'm going to bring up this PowerPoint that I've worked on, and we'll just start on it. So what this is a lotus flower, and I really like the lotus flower. The lotus flower is into the folklores. Lotus flowers are a very strong representative of the inner being of a person, because a lotus flower starts way down in the murky waters of a pool, and usually that's muddy water, and it grows up through this dark water, and then it comes up and it absolutely blooms open in a beautiful flower. And there are many colors of lotuses, and I've never done the research, but apparently there's many colors, and all the colors have special meaning. So the lotus flower is actually meant a new beginning, and it's very powerful symbolism for women, as men too. But it, like here says, it grows in the muddy water, and it is in this environment that gives forth the flower's first and most literal meaning, rising and blooming above the murk to achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment is a wonderful word. So first off, we're going to start out with a quiz. And you don't have to be real specific in it. You can take a pen and paper, or just count how many times you say yes and how many times you say no on each finger. It doesn't matter. But we're going to go through some questions, and just to keep track of how many yeses you say and how many no's you say in the 20 questions. So, yes or no, have you ever wanted to stop eating and found you just couldn't? Number 2, do you think about food or your weight constantly? Number 3, do you find yourself attempting one diet or food plan after another with no lasting success? Number 4, do you binge and then get rid of the binge through vomiting, exercising, laxatives, or other forms of purging? Do you eat differently in private than you do in front of other people? 6, has a doctor or family member ever approached you with the concern about your eating habits or weight? 7, do you eat large quantities of food at one time, such as binging? 8, is your weight problem due to your nibbling all day long? Number 9, do you eat to escape from your feelings? 10, do you eat when you're not hungry? 11, have you ever discarded food only to retrieve it and eat it later? 12, do you eat in secret? 13, do you fast or severely restrict your food intake? 14, have you ever stolen other people's food? 15, have you ever hidden food to make sure you can have enough? 17, calculate calories you've burned against the calories you've eaten. 18, you feel guilty about what you've eaten. 20, do you feel hopeless about your relationship with food? So, if you said yes to any of the questions, brain pathways have likely been significantly affected. And it's likely that sugar has created an addiction or a very strong and consistent pathway. So yes, is this shocking? So truly, I'm sure all of us said a yes to at least one question. And there might be some of us who didn't. But maybe in your past, you may have said yes to it. And you've been able to work through it to help get through your getting your old brain pathways and your new brain pathways working in congruence with each other instead of being ignored. So what can you do about it? And there is something you can do about it. I keep talking about old brain, new brain, and that's actually quite scientifically and real. Old brain, new brain is, I'm going to try to explain a little bit in a very short time in a way that can be understood. But the old brain is a very short pathway that all of us have, even animals have it. It's a short brain pathway that we've had since a child, and you have it to survive. So a lot of times you get the fear and the flight and the fear, the flight fear type coming in, or the comfortable and happy you go toward. That's a very basic survival mechanism of the old brain. And the old brain is very strong, and it's also usually that's that automatic thought. A lot of times, say somebody who has been in a fire or a car accident, they become real sensitive to squealing tires when most people wouldn't even hear. Things like that. Those are things that commit survival skills. So our brain is a very short pathway, which is developed through repetition and seeking reward or pleasure. The old brain pathway seeks repetition and the pathway does not understand. This is something very important. The old brain pathway does not understand right or wrong, morals or ethics. It doesn't understand that this is a moral issue or it's an ethical issue or something is right or something is wrong. It's simply looking for reward or pleasure. And so that's how it moves forward. So the brain creates pathways differently in each person according to their life experiences. Imagine several different babies all around the world, all the same age, are going to have different characteristics. Their languages, some will be quiet, some will be all over the place, some will be just sitting very still. And it has nothing to do with whether they're good babies or bad babies. It's according to the fact of what kind of life experiences have they had and are, and they already old brain pathways that are different. Some of our lives may include abuse. So I've heard the phrase, how can that person possibly stay with you? You may have heard the book A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. It's a very intense book about abuse, but it really helps explain old brain, new brain, and what we're trying to explain here. The brain only knows what it's been exposed to. So, for an example, for him, that Dave, he only understood that kneeling on rice for 1 hour meant his mom really loved him because he didn't have to kneel on the rice for 3 hours. Or he was only burned once instead of 3 times. So for him, in his life experiences, That's how he understood it. So learning about how the brain works is so that we can begin to learn about our brain and how brain pathways are developed and how we can be aware of them. We do not have to be a victim to ourselves. Brain pathways develop to automatic thought processes which have occurred for so long that often we're not even aware they exist. By creating self-awareness of personal automatic thoughts, you can redirect your thoughts and change your behaviors. Oftentimes with this, I challenge people to simply hear your brain. Listen to it. Oftentimes you're going to find that you're very mean to yourself. Oftentimes you may hear in your head things that you would never, ever even tell anybody, but yet we're fine with saying to ourselves. And so just take a challenge and really start listening to brain, because oftentimes when I find myself getting tired, irritated, overworked, overwhelmed, I'm not taking my vitamin, those vita things, your 3 vitamin things. I'll think, okay, I didn't take my vitamins today, did I? Because I find myself saying, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I did that again. Can I ever do anything right? I hear these things in my head. I would never even say that to anybody, but I'm fine with saying it to myself. So it's very important to hear those brain pathways. And I'll bet you on some people, including myself, there's sometimes when I hear those words in my head, I can actually hear them in someone else's voice that once may have, in my past life or in my past experiences, I may have had a very harsh experience with, and I can literally hear that voice in my head. So it's very strong. Our brain is very, very strong and very influential. So it's very important to hear your brain so that you can redirect that negative thought to a positive thought. Yes, is this anything about food? Not yet, but a problem a lot of times with food is that we eat for emotional needs. And oftentimes that emotional need is to have a piece of cake or to go eat a great big stop at the drive-through and get a great big hamburger on the way home before you even go start eating, because you just need it because you just feel so awful. So it's important to understand and know what's going on in your brain. Do you have any thoughts or questions, comments so far? Kind of a little fast. Okay. So past life experiences, events, and lifestyles all affect the brain chemistry. And believe it or not, for every chemical that we place in our body naturally produces that same chemical effect. That I mean LSD, sugar, caffeine, heroin, marijuana, any of those things you put in your brain, our body and brain chemistry has the ability to do that very same effect. That's why addiction is such a tough problem. So you can see why the old brain pathway is very conducive to repeating behaviors of pleasure. And because the brain pathway is incapable of understanding right from wrong or moral ethics, it can create an insane lifestyle. The dopamine and serotonin are feel-good chemicals that we are naturally create in our body. And and that's what helps sustain a sense of well-being. Our life experiences affect our body and how we produce these chemicals naturally. Outside chemicals may cause our body to rely on the event or substance to create the chemicals. So after a while, our body is less and less capable of naturally creating these chemicals. Our body begins to see and become easily triggered to the desired event or substance, which provides the body the chemical. So in other words, if I had gotten myself used to coming home after a long day, and every day I come home and I mix myself a drink every day. And pretty soon it's going to get to the point where instead of creating meditation, putting on my diffuser, relaxing with oils, having a smoothie with good oils or fruits or whatever in it, I now the alcohol has become more. My old brain is now seeking that because it's more pleasurable to me. So it's going to naturally start seeking that chemical. So that's where we have to be really aware of our impulses so that we can start not being an action of our impulse, but be the product of the decision making and a choice. So kind of hear what I'm saying. You got eat your tasty food, whatever it might be. it immediately hits the dopamine. The dopamine is a natural thing in our body. Earlier, when Pam and I were having a little bit of a laughing attack, our serotonin and dopamine levels were raising up because our body likes it. So our serotonin and dopamines were raising and being flooded into our brain. So it gives you a high reward. So you get lots of dopamine release. And a low reward is that we might start having less receptors coming through. So of course, then what happens is that the craving to eat more becomes more and more, because the food is creating the dopamine levels. This gets very complicated, but it's helps you. Hopefully what's helping you understand is that if every time I'm happy, I go and have a candy bar because I'm celebrating for the cat, or I have my pop, or I have whatever, pretty soon I can't be happy. The happy is going to start triggering the need for food. That was the YouTube that I could have watched on the thing, but if we have time at the end, I can show it. On here, this shows the brain. One brain, both look identical. Both release feel-good chemicals, the dopamine. Both can cause withdrawal symptoms. Both require more and more to achieve diminished feel-good sensation. Both can cause death. You aren't going to believe what they both are showing. One is sugar. This is sugar. On the other side, it's cocaine. That shows how similar, how addictive sugar is, because cocaine is probably one of the hardest drugs to not use. It's a very difficult drug to stop without help. Well, look at what sugar is. Sugar is nothing illegal about it. There's nothing terrible about it. However, when our body is becoming addicted to sugar, it has the same effects as if I were taking cocaine. That's how strong sugar is. So that is where I'm trying to say. It's not just simply a matter that you don't have willpower to not eat. It's a matter of you are dealing with an addiction, and we've got to learn how to redirect our thought processes. This is the whole process of what people go through to stop, to help with their addictive behaviors. Like I said, now it's absolutely impossible to be abstinent from food. Yes, it's possible to be abstinent from cocaine, but the ironic thing about people when they are stopping any kind of chemical use, what is the first thing that usually happens in their first 1 to 4 weeks, if not more, of abstinence? Eat. Sugar. Drinking pop, Larry, going through a 12-pack of straight Mountain Dew in a day. Smoking increases. Arguments, negativity. So it's very addictive. Sugar, life experiences, chemicals produce a wide range of physiological effects in humans, including the stimulation of plethora of emotional experiences. When we ingest or experience these things, then we become euphoric, highly active. Locomotion and tremors and tics can start to happen. More talkative than normal. We experience feelings of extreme power and alertness. This is what happens when we laughing attack. This is exactly what's happening. So now the laughing attack used to have a great supply of chemicals. Good do it anymore, and they don't last long. So now now our body wants more of it, so it's creating chemical. And so this is where we got to be aware of what's going on with our thoughts, because you got to remember, trigger urges is that's all it is. Our body does not need it. It's a matter of redirecting it. You can get your body and mind redirecting. That urge will go away. And this all can happen within 4 days. That's just how much power we have over this matter. The cycle of client receptors lead to addiction, all the time with the binging. It numbs the pleasure response. So then cravings start coming on. So we get more binging going on. Now we even have less pleasure, so we have stronger cravings for even more. So the binging increases, our weight increases, and we now eat a whole bag of potato chips and it does nothing. So now I'm gonna go start on the ice cream. The sugar addiction cycle is a perpetual cycle. You eat the sugar, you like it, you crave it. Then it goes to the blood sugar spikes, the dopamine spikes, the brain has an addictive reaction to it. And so it needs to come back in to give it energy, comes back in, and the cycle just goes round and round and round and round and round. Dopamine pathways and serotonin pathways highly affects the frontal cortex. So you start working. This is our new brain. It's a matter of meditation. The OS, everything we've been talking about that's going to help with this, it also a new brain. And the more you are making a choice, am I hungry? Yes, I actually am hungry. I have not eaten probably since for about 4.5 hours. And I actually am hungry. And so yes, I am choosing to have something to eat. Do I want to have a McDonald's dollar hamburger, or do I want to have a yogurt with some granola on it? I think I'm gonna have a yogurt with granola in it. Do I want a hot chocolate, or do I want to have a soy milk? Chocolate soy milk. I think I'm gonna have the chocolate soy milk this time. So it's a matter of just evaluating. I call it shaking the globe. Think about it. Make a choice. Don't act on impulse. Usually, first thought is wrong. So that's where the pleasure and the reward system comes in. It's a matter of gradually changing that. And you know what? We're all capable of it. Every one of you have been mothers, I believe. You've probably been a pet owner or any of it. All of those things, we have affected this with people. Have you ever tried to get a toddler to get into a strange car? Yeah, you have to affect their, help them get over their fear, go away from their impulse, and make a choice. Have you ever had to try to get a horse to walk over a stream? What are we doing? We're doing exactly what I just said. You're simply helping them make a choice and not act on impulse. It's not hard to do, and we do it every day, all day long for different reasons. Now it's time to just do it for yourself. Of course, sleep can affect your eating. Are you hungry or bored? Eat with your brain. So new barriers create new thought patterns, which can eventually become the dominant pathway. Which basically that is saying old habit now becomes a new habit. A lot of times they say 30 days, you become a habit, or 60 days, or whatever they say. It's because you're creating new brain pathways. So, yeah, but so can we start making changes? Things happening, hear your thoughts, choose if you want to allow them in your lives, and learn to make a choice when you eat. So what do? Provide attention, directing your thoughts, behaviors, and actions to help your body begin to naturally produce good feeling chemicals within your body. Absent helps. So sometimes it may be important, like what Kathy was talking about that one time. She just doesn't keep any chocolate in her cupboards. Maybe for some of us, that's what we need to do, because we can't keep ourselves just to having one piece of chocolate. So it's better to have it out of the sight. And so those are all good choices and decisions you need to make for yourself. Surround yourself with work. I think Facebook with Tara is excellent. I mean, I see people getting support from there all the time. Provide personal feel-good activities to really work on increasing your serotonin and dopamine naturally. Just really realize that what you think, do, and say matters. So sometimes you might just simply need to watch that good comedy to get your serotonin and dopamine levels raising. enjoy having the laugh attacks, enjoy having fun, enjoy watching a comedy. And it's important. You have control of increasing those dopamines and serotonins, and with the oils, you even have better control. So this is just another thing. And that's just references, and that's the end of it. So any comments or questions or anything else you wanted to be able to consider or feedback or thoughts?
I have a question. I had a hard time hearing because the internet was kind of unstable sometimes, but you said that with practice, like you can become addicted to sugar, did you say, over a period of how many weeks?
Well, the addiction to something is likely at this point we have it. If some people may have been able to work through it, but it's a matter of, well, sugar itself is something. It's it doesn't really have a magic number of how many weeks you become addicted to it. It's a matter of understanding that how sugar affects us and our addictive brain pathways affects us just as much as a drug can, and that's how intensely strong it is. So
Right,
it's a matter of understanding that it can be. It's a matter that we have this craving for sugar, but you don't have to feel bad about it, because it's the natural way the body wants, and it doesn't have all that.
Right, but I mean, how long it was like you could break the cycle, you could break the thing in it.
Well, that's that thing where we talk about if you have a habit. You see, when you're dealing with something you can't abstain from, well, then you need to make a conscious effort of it, not only daily, but probably however many times a day you need to do, hourly, on a conscious effort to redirect and hear your brain, because that's where I just was saying that's where that old saying is. That's been around forever, where if you want to make a new habit, do it for 30 straight days. Well, I think I've even heard now it's even longer than that, but it's a matter of just making conscious efforts of hearing your brain and listening to it and redirecting, and don't allow yourself to be mean to yourself. When I hear myself being, I'm such an idiot, I can't believe I was late again. I forced myself and said, Lori, I'm not an idiot. I was very busy. I've been overwhelmed, and I took on too many projects this time. So it's important to say that to yourself. Don't allow yourself to call you ugly or call yourself all those nasty words that I know are up in those brains sometimes. So that's it. Addiction. The brain pathways are very strong, very, very strong. And they're often connected to very early life experiences or recent life experiences. That's why it's easy for eating to become emotionally tied.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be doing giving some information about stress and how it affects the brain and eventually the body as well. And so it really is amazing that our brain has literally all the power in the body to do anything that we want to do with it. And we can renew the mind. We can become a brand new creation by thinking differently and consciously doing different things. And it's pretty fascinating what stress does to the body as well. So I'm interested to get that information out.
Absolutely, and it's very, very similar. And again, that stress can be highly tied because of the same things. I mean, we can be just as addicted to stress as we are to sugar.
We can. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, we absolutely can.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's why you said it very, very right. I oftentimes refer to the brain as it because it's an it. It is,
Mm-hmm.
and but the thing of it is we've gotten used to allowing it to control us instead of us managing it.
That's true. And the brain actually listens to your mind, which is,
Absolutely, it does.
and your mind, you can't weigh it. It's not a thing. You can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. Your mind is just a physical space that surrounds you of your past experiences. And it basically, your mind and your soul are the same thing. So the spirit that we listen to actually is filtered through the mind, which is our human experiences and our thoughts and our emotions and actions, which affect our brain. So in all of this, you know, whether it's alcohol or sugar or whatever it is, that it's interesting that we do have to listen to the right voices. We have to listen to the truth. We have to listen to the right areas to really be able to become new and different and have that renewing of the mind that we need.
Absolutely. They're very tied together.
Mm-hmm.
I think the nice part about it is to just begin understanding and realizing that you can release that feeling that I'm not strong enough, because that is that's what society generally trains us to think, that I'm not strong enough like other people to not eat chocolate. But I have found out that I can have chocolate and choose to have one or two. And I can stop with one or two. Some people can't. But it's a matter of knowing that I have an ability to make a choice and not getting so down on myself. Just simply pat yourself on the back, think, well, at least I recognize it and I can start over again. Because it's so, that emotional tie to giving up is, it's very tough, but it's also very rewarding to know that you can move forward. And what's even funner with the tarot and everything you're doing is you can show people how to help and move forward. And I think the neat thing is with those oils is a lot of time, the oils really can help change your brain and just get you thinking positive and make you happy when you're not.
Well, and like Kathy has told us before, that when you use that mouthwash that has cinnamon flavor to it, if you're having a craving to eat something sugary, go and rinse your mouth with that mouthwash, because that helps to cut that craving.
Yeah, because it satisfies the reward pathway to the old brain. Yep, very good.
Does anybody?
My favorite new snack is pomegranate seeds.
I read that. I heard you talk. I saw you make that comment, and I'm thinking, where the heck?
Oh my gosh, they come in these cute little cups now, and I just sit here and eat them just, you know, throughout the day, and they're a sweet snack. They provide hydration as well, and they're so good.
Little seeds. Do you just?
Yeah, they're already, yeah. You don't have to get all messy and taking them out of the pomegranates.
You don't have to watch the YouTubes on how to take them apart.
No, you don't. And the cool thing about it is, if they're outdated, they kind of taste like wine. I'm just saying. Yeah. Not that I would know that.
Yeah, I saw you make a comment on that earlier, and I'm thinking, what the heck? Where did she get pomegranate seeds? I'll have to look.
They're good. They're good. All right, guys. Well, are we ready to wrap up?
I think so. I don't see any other questions. Any comments or questions? Well, we thank you, Lori, very much. This was great information. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us and share all of this with us. I did record it, so I will be posting the recording on the group after it has to process and all that kind of stuff. So I will be posting it after that. Thank you, Lori. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who attended. And if you have any questions that you think of later, you can post them in the comments under the video. And I'm sure Lori will be checking that. So thank you so much. It was wonderful. And you have a wonderful evening.
All right, thanks. Good night.
Okay, good night.